million.
Yeah, that's a heavy number, isn't it?
It's heavy. I want you, everyone listening, to just visualize that stack of cash for a minute. Picture it on a pallet in some warehouse. That's how much capital was burned, just torched by a startup called Demospace between 2023 and 2026.
10 million. Gone.
Gone. And we're not talking about a fraud case here. You know, this isn't some FTX situation where the money's buying condos in the Bahamas.
No, nothing nearly that scandalous. This was just standard operating procedure gone wrong.
Exactly. We are talking about smart people, good intentions, a product that, well, it worked. It functioned. People used it. And still, the money is gone.
It's a staggering figure for a seed and Series A stage failure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at that timeline, that is a bonfire of cash burning at a rate that would make even the most aggressive VCs sweat a little.
So today, we're doing something a bit different on this deep dive. We're performing an autopsy. We are going to dig into the corpse of Demospace to figure out how a company with that much runway and what seemed like a solid idea just ended up in the graveyard.
Right.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting, we're not just here to mourn the dead. We're going to attempt a resurrection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the core idea wasn't necessarily wrong. It was the execution and, well, specifically the timing relative to this AI boom. So our mission today is to break down the failure, pull out the the lessons, and then rebuild this thing correctly for right now, 2026, as DemoGenie.
I do love a good redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to the rebuild, we have to look at the pedigree here.
Oh,
this
no.
wasn't just two people in a garage with no supervision.
Not at all.
Demospace was founded by Jane Doe and John Smith, real veterans in the space.
Mm.
And look at this list of backers. Y Combinator, Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz.
The holy trinity of Silicon Valley. You really can't get better validation than that, especially early on.
Precisely. These are the kingmakers. If
Right.
they bet on you, it usually means you're onto something big. So
Yeah.
how does a company with that brain trust, that institutional support, and that kind of runway just hit a wall? That is the $10 million question. And frankly, it proves a fundamental truth we often forget in the startup world. Capital is not a strategy. You can have all the best logos on your deck, you can have the warmest intros, but if you misread the market, you're going to drown just like anyone else.
And they got pulled under.
They got pulled under by a tidal wave they just did not see coming.
Okay, so let's unpack the rise first. What were they actually selling? Because on paper, especially back in 2023, this sounded like a winner.
It absolutely did. At its core, Demospace was an on-demand platform for interactive virtual demos. Think about the context of 2023. Remote work was, the new normal for tech sales.
Right.
Teams were everywhere. The whole idea was to make the sales process smoother by connecting companies with clients all over the world without anyone having to get on a plane. But it was a step beyond Zoom.
It wasn't just screen sharing, it was co-browsing. Right.
Exactly. It let the salesperson and the prospect interact with software at the same time in a kind of sandbox. The value proposition was crystal clear. We make selling easier, faster, and more interactive. It was supposed to kill the whole, can you see my screen? And here, let me click that for you problem.
Which sounds fantastic. I mean, efficiency, cutting travel costs, instant connection. If you'd pitched me that in 2023, I probably would have written a check too. It solves a real pain point. Zoom fatigue was a real thing, and staring at a static screen is just boring.
Most people would have, and that's why they raised the money. But, when we look at the data, specifically the opportunity score from our source material, you can see the cracks really early on.
Yeah.
The rebuild difficulty was a 3 out of 5, so moderate. It's not rocket science,
Okay.
but the scalability potential. That was flagged as a 2 out of 5.
Ouch. A 2 out of 5 on scalability for a tech startup that's basically a do not enter sign. That screams high customer acquisition cost or high churn. Why so low?
Because of what we call the bundle war. And this brings us right to the first cause of death.
The bundle war sounds dramatic, but in software as a service, it's usually fatal.
It is. See, Demospace was a standalone point solution, a specific tool for one thing, demos. But almost immediately, the tech giants woke up. You have Microsoft, Google, Zoom. They look at this virtual demo space and just go, wait a minute, we own the video pipe. Why don't we just add interactive sharing as a feature to the suite people are already paying us for?
It's the classic feature versus product dilemma. I've seen this play out so many times. A startup builds a great little feature, and then Apple or Google just updates their OS and poof.
The startup is obsolete.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I'm a CTO and I'm already paying, say, $50,000 a year for a massive Microsoft Teams license and they roll out a demo mode, why am I going to approve a separate check to Demospace for $50 a user?
You're not. It's a line item veto. The CFO looks at the software stack during budget season and says, we can cut this. We get 80% of that in the bundle we already own.
And that's the killer math right there. Good enough? That's included? Beats perfect. That costs extra. Demospace was out there alone while everyone else was building these massive fortresses. They were fighting a war of convenience. And convenience in the enterprise almost always wins.
Okay, but hold on. I want to push back a little. People pay for specific apps all the time, even if their phone has a default. I use a specific calendar app, even though Google Calendar's free. Surely if the product was that good, people would still pay.
That is a valid point, and in the consumer world, that holds true. You'll pay $10 a month for a better calendar because it brings you a little joy or efficiency. But in B2B enterprise sales, the bar is just different. And that leads us right to cause of death number 2, the missing moat.
The moat. Warren Buffett's favorite concept, the thing that protects your castle.
Exactly. In software, a moat is usually a network effect like Slack, where it gets better the more people use it, or a data moat, where you have some proprietary intelligence nobody else can get. Demospace had neither. Specifically, they totally failed to integrate AI-driven personalization.
Ugh, the AI piece. This is where the timing really, really hurt them.
They built a video tool. A very sleek one, maybe, but at the end of the day, just a video tool. They were moving pixels, not data. Without AI, their product was just easily replicable. But if they'd used AI to, say, analyze customer sentiment in real time or personalize the pitch automatically, that would have been a moat. That is hard to copy.
So they were a pipe, not a brain.
A pipe, not a brain.
Yeah.
Exactly. And pipes are commodities. Brains are premium. Because they lack that differentiation, they couldn't hold on to customers when the cheaper bundled options showed up. The switching cost for their customers was basically zero.
And then comes the scramble. Cause of death number 3, the late pivot. I feel like I've seen this movie before.
Oh, yeah. The ship is taking on water, so the captain decides to turn the whole boat around 180 degrees in an instant.
And usually capsizes it.
That's what happened. Demospace tried to pivot from a demo tool to a full suite sales enablement platform. They wanted to do it all, CRM, tracking, closing. But by the time they made that call, it was just too little, too late.
And I imagine that's an incredibly expensive pivot to make when you're already burning cash. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly you're Salesforce.
It's astronomical. You have to rebuild the product, retrain the entire sales team, re-educate the market. And remember, they'd already burned through most of that $10 million on the original idea. Trying to build a full sales suite puts you in direct competition with HubSpot and Salesforce. You just can't win that fight with a dwindling bank account.
So they tried to leave their niche to go fight the kings on their own turf without any resources.
Right. They abandoned the one thing they might have been able to defend, a specialized niche, to fight a war on a massive front. It was strategic suicide.
Okay, so that's the autopsy. Demospace is dead. The investors have written it off. But we promised a blueprint. We promised the loot, the lessons we can take from this wreckage. So let's shift gears. What's the first nugget of gold we pull from these ashes?
Lesson 1 is niche first. Demospace failed because they tried to go too broad too late. The lesson here is that focusing on a very specific niche market creates a defensible position before you even think about scaling.
Can you give me a concrete example? Because every founder wants to be the Uber of everything. Telling them to stay small is a hard sell.
It is hard, but it's vital. Think about something like demos for medical device sales. It's a nightmare industry for generic tools. You've got compliance issues, HIPAA, GDPR. You've got 3D visualizations of complex hardware. You're not just selling software, you're selling a robotic arm.
Right, so a PDF on a screen share isn't going to cut it.
Not even close. If Demospace had said, we are the only tool in the world that handles HIPAA-compliant 3D medical device demos, they would have been unkillable.
That makes perfect sense. Microsoft Teams isn't going to build a dedicated HIPAA-compliant 3D rendering engine for one vertical. It's not worth their time.
Not at all. By going niche, you insulate yourself from the bundle war. You become the specialist surgeon, not the general practitioner, and you can charge more for it.
Okay, lesson 2. This one's a bit technical, but I think it applies to anyone building anything today.
Leverage, don't build. Looking at their hiring data on LinkedIn, it seems like they spent a fortune building their own video infrastructure. Hiring video engineers, compression experts. Today, and honestly, even back then, you don't do that. You use existing communication APIs.
You rent the plumbing, you don't manufacture the pipes yourself.
Precisely. It cuts your development time and your costs so drastically. If they'd used Twilio or something similar for the video layer, maybe they wouldn't have burned $10 million. Maybe they burn 2 and have 8 million left over to figure out the AI part.
It's that not invented here syndrome. Engineers love building things from scratch because it's fun, not always because it's good business.
It's fun until you run out of money.
Which brings us to the next point, flexibility.
The pivot point.
Yeah.
You have to pivot before you're desperate. The moment the giants entered this space, Demospace should have pivoted to AI immediately. Waiting until the bank account is low to change strategy is a death sentence.
And finally, the tech stack. Modern tools make this whole thing cheaper, right?
So much cheaper. Frameworks like Next.js, real-time platforms like Firebase. You can build an MVP, a minimum viable product, for a tiny fraction of the cost. You can look like a $10 million company on a $50,000 budget if you pick the right stack.
Okay, so we have the lessons: niche down, rent the plumbing, pivot early, keep the stack lean. Now for the fun part, the resurrection. We're wiping the slate clean. It's 2026. We're launching DemoGenie. How is this different?
The fundamental difference is that DemoGenie is AI native. Demospace was a video tool that maybe, used a little AI on the side for transcripts. DemoGenie is built around the AI. The core concept is the intelligent self-adjusting demo.
Intelligent self-adjusting demo. Okay, sounds great on a landing page, but what does that actually mean for a user? Break that down for me.
Okay, let's role play it. Imagine you're a salesperson giving a demo of some complex software. You have a script, right? You go through feature A, then B, then C. It's static.
Right. And half the time, the client, let's say it's me, I'm checking my email during feature B because I really don't care about it.
Exactly. With DemoGenie, the AI is monitoring the user's interactions in real time. It's tracking mouse movement, analyzing voice tonality, seeing where their attention is. Let's say you, the client, linger on the security settings tab for 20 seconds longer than average.
Okay.
The AI detects that intent.
And then what? It just flashes a notification to me, the salesperson.
It goes further. It dynamically alters the flow. It might prompt you, the salesperson, with a new script focused on security. Or, if it's an automated demo, it actually changes the video track itself to dive deep into security protocols. It completely skips the user interface section you breezed past.
So it's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but the book is reading your mind and turning the pages for you.
That's a perfect analogy. It adapts to behavior. If a user asks a question about pricing, the AI instantly pulls up an ROI calculator and case studies relevant to their specific industry. Not just a generic pricing page. It contextualizes everything. Here's how a company your size in logistics saved 12%.
That is the differentiation. That's the moat. Microsoft Teams is not doing that. Zoom is not doing that. They're just moving pixels.
Not yet. And they won't for a while because their models are too broad. They have to serve everyone from kindergarten teachers to Fortune 500 CEOs. And that's where the opportunity is. The market now is dominated by CRMs like Salesforce. They have the data, but they're big, clunky systems of record. DemoGenie wins by being the agile, intelligent layer on top.
So if we're building this today, what's the plan? We're not asking for 10 million this time. We've got to be scrappy.
No, we're being lean. First, the stack. We're using the OpenAI API for the brains generating scripts, analyzing sentiment. We're not building our own LLM that's just burning money. We use Vercel for deployment, Twilio for the video pipes, and Firebase for handling that real-time data sync.
That sounds like a stack you could get up and running in a weekend.
A prototype, yeah.
Yeah.
The polish takes longer, but the barrier to entry is so low now, the real work is in the logic teaching the AI how to sell.
So we have the tech. What about the go-to-market strategy? How do we get customers without just burning cash on ads?
Step 1, develop that AI-first prototype. Prove the concept. Step 2, beta program. But, and this is the key lesson, we target niche industries.
Like the medical device example.
Exactly. Or, say, sales tools for architects. Something specific, visual, complex, high ticket. We dominate that niche. We get testimonials. We prove that DemoGenie increases conversion by 30% because the demo is actually relevant.
And then what?
Step 3, we don't fight the giants. We partner with them. We build seamless integrations into Salesforce, into HubSpot. We become the intelligent demo plugin that every Salesforce admin wants. We ride their distribution channels.
Smart. You become a symbiotic organism, not a competitor. You make Salesforce better so they have no reason to crush you. They might even acquire you.
Precisely. You become an ecosystem enabler. It's a much safer place to be.
And monetization. How do we make money?
It's a classic mix. A SaaS model with tiered subscriptions, some revenue from the CRM integrations. But the real money, the keep the lights on money, comes from enterprise. We offer bespoke demo setups for large clients.
What does a bespoke demo setup look like?
We go to a Fortune 500 company and we say, we will build a custom DemoGenie instance that perfectly models your complex product. We'll train the AI on your specific sales methodology. And we charge a premium for that setup and ongoing maintenance.
That sounds a lot more sustainable than the burn and pray method Demospace was using.
It's focused on value, not just volume. Demospace wanted 1 million users paying $10. DemoGenie wants 1,000 users paying $10,000 because the tool's actually closing deals for them.
So to recap this whole journey, we saw Demospace burn $10 million because they offered a commodity product, failed to innovate with AI, and pivoted way too late. We're rebuilding it as DemoGenie, an AI-native platform that changes the sales pitch in real time based on what the customer actually cares about.
And we're doing it with a lean stack and a niche-first strategy.
It really just highlights that the failure wasn't the idea of virtual demos, it was the lack of adaptability. The world shifted from static video to dynamic AI, and Demospace just got stuck.
That is the key takeaway. The value has shifted. It's not about connecting two people on a screen anymore. That problem is solved. The value is in what happens during that connection, the intelligence of the interaction itself.
It's fascinating. We're moving away from the era of the standard pitch.
We are, and that raises a provocative thought for everyone to take away.
Let's hear it.
If we successfully build DemoGenie, and if the market moves this way, where AI is dynamically adjusting every single sales pitch, every marketing message in real time, are we moving toward a future where every single product experience is completely unique to the user?
That's big.
Think about it. If the demo I see is totally different from the demo you see, based on our behavior, does a standard product demo or even a standard product even exist anymore?
Or is everything just a fluid reflection of what the buyer wants in that moment?
Exactly. The death of the universal experience.
Wow. Well, on that mind-bending note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Whether you're building the next unicorn or just trying to figure out why your favorite app disappeared, remember, the moat is in the intelligence, not the infrastructure. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious.